Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of my favorite 400 cards from Reddit, Half Century of Collecting Sports Cards. These are the cards from last week. We've taken the show outside today as we've got a near 50-degree day. Yesterday was over 50 up here in northern Minnesota. You can see the lake. There are no ice fishermen out there, which normally this time of year there's tons of houses and people fishing out there, but the ice is way too thin this year. Absolutely no snow. Just a different kind of winter. My second oldest daughter's got a college softball game today. Hopefully I'll get to watch from streaming that they'll be playing, which is pretty amazing here for this time of year. But on to the card number, we're at 308, and this is a 1921 W551 card of Dave Bancroft. Now that set, there were only 10 cards in it. 9 of them ended up being Hall of Famers. Babe Ruth kind of the headliner there, but Wally Pipp is the only non-Hall of Famer. Now Bancroft was a Hall of Fame shortstop, played from 1915 to 1930. He was a really good fielding shortstop. Led the league in defensive WAR 4 straight years, back with the Phillies and Giants. He was a little above average kind of a hitter, but he did end up over 2,000 career hits, career 355 on base percentage. In 1920, 21, and 22 were his best years when he was over 6 WAR each of those years, and ended up with a career 49.9 WAR. After playing, he did some managing, and he actually managed 3 years in the All-America Girls Professional League. Next on the list, we've got a basketball card. The Big O, Oscar Robertson. Now, this is the original triple-double man, and he's the first player in NBA history to average a triple-double. That was 1962, when he averaged 30.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 11.4 assists per game. The only guy in the 60-plus years since then who has averaged a triple-double in a season was Russell Westbrook. The Big O, in his first 5 years in the NBA, actually did average a triple-double. He had a great college career at Cincinnati, where he's a 2-time All-American. Team only lost 9 games in his 3 seasons there. And as a point guard, in his career in college, he averaged 15.2 rebounds a game. And then in 1960, he played on that great Olympic team where he was one of the captains along with Jerry West. And then pro career, mainly with the Cincinnati Royals. And then later teaming up with Lou Alcindor for the Milwaukee Bucks, where he won an NBA title in 1971. He retired in 74 as the all-time NBA leader in assists and free throws made. And he was second to Wilt Chamberlain in career scoring. And one little fun fact, in high school, he played at Crispus Attucks High School in Indianapolis. And as a sophomore, his team in Indiana lost in the semifinals of the state tournament to Milan, who was that was the team that the Hoosiers movie was based off of, that little high school in Indiana. So even though they lost that season to Milan, the last 2 years of his high school career, his junior and senior seasons, they won the Indiana State High School Championship. And currently the Player of the Year award in college basketball gets a trophy called the Oscar Robertson Trophy. All right, next on the list, we got a Hall of Fame pitcher, and that is Catfish Hunter. And when I chose which Catfish Hunter card to use, I wanted to pick one with the Oakland A's, where he had his famous mustache, kind of looked like a catfish. And that gave me just these two, actually those 3 cards to pick from. 74, there's a lot of really cool in-action cards of Oakland A's, but that one kind of blacked out his face a little bit. So I went with the 75, and I couldn't go, his rookie card. He's with Blue Moon Odom, kind of a cool rookie card. That just doesn't look like Catfish Hunter to me, and I couldn't go anywhere with the Yankees, so we will go with the 75. Now, he was probably one of the best pitchers who played on a really good team that helped him. He never played in the minors, and when he was really good was his first, just his first, dozen or so seasons in the majors. He had 200 wins by age 31, and he was the first player since 1915 to do that. Best year was this 74 season when he went 25-2, or is it the 74 season actually on the 75 card? So it's the season you see on the back of that card, where he was 25-2 with a 2.49 ERA, ended up winning the Cy Young. And after that season, kind of was the first biggest free agent signing. The Yankees got him for a 5-year, $3.35 million deal. And he retired after those 5 years, though, at just age 33 with arm problems, diabetes, and then ended up dying young, age 53, of ALS. One of the kind of cool things, he's one of the few players who's got a song written by him, a song by Bob Dylan, which is kind of cool. They talk about Catfish being the $1 million man, and that he, spurned away from our Charlie Finley to sign with the Yankees. All that stuff's in the song. Kind of a cool bluesy old song. You got to YouTube it and listen to it. All right, next on the list, we've got a cool young Tom Seaver, 1970 card. One of my favorite pitchers, and this is coming off of that 69 Miracle Met season, which you can see here was one of Seaver's best seasons, 25-7, 2.21 ERA. Team goes from perennial last place team to winning the World Series. This is a playoff card. Seaver winning the opener. 1970, I think, is one of the more underrated card years. The cards that got, some of them are kind of dull, but the ones like the Seaver that have cool color to it, a nice blue background, I think really fits with that gray, and probably the all-time best backs of any card with that bright blue and yellow from 1970. So, Tom Seaver. Next on the list, we got an oldie, but a goodie, and this is Wilbert Robinson on a W515 one strip card. These are cards that came in 6 different strips with 10 cards on each strip, and the candy guy or the store guy would have to cut the card off for the person who would get this card. So that ended up with a lot of real irregular borders, kind of tougher to get. I told the story, I guess, of this card. This is one that I sent to SGC, and it ripped as they were taking it out of the holder. So this card ended up being a authentic altered, but that happened actually in the SGC office, and they told them with my permission to put a little tape on it and just call it altered. So a little bit about Wilbert Robertson. He was born during the Civil War. He was the first catcher to stand right behind the batter, other than when there were 2 strikes on a guy. Held the record for 11 RBIs in a game until it was broken by Jim Bottingley. I told that in the Bottingley card story that I was talking about. But then what he's in the Hall of Fame for is his managing career. He started out with the Orioles in 2001, so that was just as they were starting in the American League, the start of the American League. And then he was a pitching coach later under John McGraw with the Giants as a blank back card. And then he started being the Brooklyn manager in somewhere in the mid, I think it was 1914. At the time, they were called the Bridegrooms. They became the Superbas. Then they became known as the Robins, and that was for Wilbert Robertson. And then later they were the Dodgers. But he was in 2 World Series, lost both as a manager. One was to the 1916 Babe Ruth-led Boston Red Sox, and then the other was the 1920 Cleveland Indians that we talked about last week with Joe Sewell. All right, next we've got, I had to take a card won't be the only one, but a card from that 1971 vending box that I spent most of last year slowly opening. It was one of the coolest things, going through those cards. And this is the Willie Stargell from that, also called Pops. I've always liked that 71 Stargell, and then when I got, I think, 5 or 6 of them out of that vending box, this one probably the nicest one. Just thought it was really cool. This 71 season also happened to be Stargell's probably best season. Not the one here shown on the back, but the 71 season, he had 48 homers, 125 ribbies, was second in MVP, and his team won the World Series title. And then the year that he did win MVP, 1979, was the year he and Keith Hernandez tied for MVP title. So 71, Willie Stargell. 71 is my favorite Topps year after 1956. The 52 to 56 were just phenomenal cards, but my favorite after that is this 71 season. Partly I really like the backs as well as those black bordered, really tough fronts. And last for today, we've got another Hall of Famer, a pitcher, Bob Lemon. So Lemon came up just before World War II as a utility player, played third base in 41 and 42, just 5 games each year. Then he went off to the war, World War II in the Navy, where he was for 3 years. Came back in 46, still as a utility player, and he actually started in center field in 1946 when Bob Feller was on the mound and threw a no-hitter, the only no-hitter in opening day. And Lemon made a great catch that Feller said kind of saved his no-hitter. Made a great catch, made a throw to second base to double a guy off. But during that season, Bill Dickey was talking with Lou Boudreau and said, you know, in the Navy, he had one heck of an arm, and I think you ought to try him as a pitcher. And so he eventually kind of evolved into a pitcher, and by 47 had a pretty good year. And then 1948 was the Indians' last World Championship season, and he was a 20-game winner that year and ended up just pitching 13 years, and 7 of those was a 20-game winner, including this 1952 season when he was 22 and 11. He also won 20 games in that 54 World Series season that they had. But this is kind of a cool, just neat color in that 52 card. And you can see the 1952 back. So Bob Lemon. So that is it for today. Those are the guys featured. Last time you'll see the ones from last week. Everybody, hopefully you have a great day, and we will catch you again next week.